Women, what are some questions you've always wanted to ask men, but were too embarrassed? Can you feel our boobs when we hug? Is it true you really get random boners? What happens to your balls when you run? Are they just banging around? Do they stick between your thighs? Do they end up tucked? I've been dying to know, thanks. Is it true that guys generally hesitate or avoid going up to and talking women that are super attractive? I mean like a 9 or a 10-10? Is attractiveness appearance something that makes you stall when shooting your shot? Can't speak for all guys, but what I tell myself, why the hell would someone like her be interested in someone like me? How did you find out someone had a crush on you? She sent me an email with pornographic photos with our heads pasted on them. She had been an internet friend that I had no romantic interest in and never flirted with. She never flirted with me either so far as I could tell. We had talked for about 3 years, almost daily, but always platonic stuff. She was quite a bit older than me and while I never told her this I looked at her more like a fun aunt. I got a girlfriend and when I told my friend about it she absolutely flipped out, cussed me up one side and down the other, told me I had broken her heart, on and on and on. I was stunned. I apologized and told her I had just seen us as friends and hadn't meant to make her think it was anything more than that. That's when the porn photos started showing up, and creepy this could have been us messages. I blocked her on everything which was like 2 things because this was 20 years ago. About a year ago I got curious and looked up her name. She ran for and won a small government position in her hometown about 3 years back. Found some newspaper articles and discovered a few things. 1. She had been married for 30 years. She had claimed to be single when we talked. 2. I had been 19 when we started talking. She had claimed to be 30. She had actually been 42. 3. She had kids that are older than me. Online daters, what are some of the most unattractive stuff people put in their bios? Don't be boring, just ask. When every picture on their profile is filtered, you do realize I'll be meeting you as unfiltered, right? I'm only here because my friends made me make an account. Their only photo is a group photo, with no indication of which one they are. This isn't the worst thing in the world but something I'm always bewildered by some variation of. Hi, I'm back again. Hopefully this time it will work out. This isn't conventional social media with followers. Which celebrity would break the internet if they made an OnlyFans? Part 4. Scarlett Johansson, Ryan Reynolds, Linus Tech Tips, Jason Momoa, Sofia Vergara, a tant chick. She is crazy attractive and has a bangin' body. What's not nearly as attractive as people think? Gravity. The other fundamental forces are actually much more powerful. Those Instagram filters that make every girl look exactly alike. I have a buddy who is constantly showing off his cars, watches, and shoes. He's single and I'm convinced he's doing all that to find a girl. It's not as impressive or attractive as he thinks it is. TikTok boys biting their lip and rubbing their hands. One woman who stitched one boy like that said it right. You look like a housefly. Stop it. Those massive lips. Just looks like you got stung by a bee. What is a minor confession you would like to make today? Part 1. I bought and ate an entire blooming onion by myself. I didn't even eat it at the Outback. I took it home so I could devour it in my room, lit only by the dim light of my monitor like some degenerate goblin while I scroll through Reddit. Most of the time when I go to the bathroom at work I don't actually have to go to the bathroom. I just want to sit down for 5 minutes and not get bitched at for it. I am the one who clogged the office toilet today. Which celebrity would break the internet if they made an OnlyFans? Part 3. Billie Eilish, Caitlyn Jenner, Pete Davidson. I need to know why he keeps scoring some of the most beautiful, successful women. Anything besides Ryan Reynolds is incorrect. BTS, I swear if only one member made an OnlyFans account the internet would explode. Margot Robbie, Ivanka Trump, people from both sides of the political spectrum would line up to crash those servers. Which celebrity would break the internet if they made an OnlyFans? Part 2. Henry Cavill, Steve Buscemi. Partially because people would check it out of just morbid curiosity, but scarily, he might be good at it. He's a versatile dude. Emma Watson, I'll finally get to see her Chamber of Secrets. Jeff Goldblum. You know the profile picture that would be on it. 2. Danny DeVito. What are you the 1% of? I was born with a cardiac rhythm disorder. Normal heart rate for a newborn is like 130 per minute. Mine was like 30. I heard from my mother my case was so rare that several cardiologists from all over the country ditched their conferences to fly to the hospital I was in and to see how to fit a pacemaker into a newborn. Not that I've looked it up, but I've run over a fish in my car. Whenever I tell the story, no one has heard anything like it. I drive a BMW and always use my turn signal. Even pulling out of my driveway, I have ab blood, which is found in less than 1% of the population. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games 2008 pole vault. When I was 8 to 11, I had the second highest score in the world. That has most likely changed. What moment made you say yep, I'm definitely dead, but survived with no major injuries? Once as a kid I was in the backyard swimming while my family was nearby eating dinner at a round table. Most had their backs to me, but I was like 11 and an experienced swimmer. I got into a toddler's float with leg holes. It ended up flipping over and I was stuck in it. My legs wouldn't come out of the leg holes. I kicked and thrashed as much as I could, but I was so stuck. And you can't hear someone screaming underwater. So many thoughts ran through my head. Mostly how sad I was that my parents were about to find me dead in a matter of minutes and how they'd never forgive themselves for allowing me to silently drown. As they talked with friends, I tried one more time to kick with all of my might. One leg slipped out and I was able to get the other out after. I was fine. Totally fucking spooked, but physically okay. Which cheap and mass-produced item is stupendously well engineered? Toilets. I've been a plumber 20 years and very little has changed, or needed to. Minimal upkeep, cheap and easy repair, very long life. Zip ties, such a simple piece of plastic but so versatile. I have one of the old-fashioned chain-link fences, some of the fasteners on the middle poles broke and in high winds the fence was swaying like crazy. A half-dozen zip ties on the 3 posts and it doesn't budge and nobody even knows they're there. Not exactly cheap, but I'm impressed that I can have a ceiling fan run on high for 15 years straight and not have it explode on me. Which celebrity would break the internet if they made an OnlyFans? Any of them. People would love to see any of them effing. Willem Dafoe. I've heard he has an absolute hog and I'm kinda curious if the rumors are true. Politicians probably, because of morbid curiosity, especially people who have run for president like Trump, Hillary, Obama, maybe Biden. I think AOC would get a lot of attention as well. What's a secret you'll take to your grave but you'll share with Reddit because you need to get it off your chest? I was in a friends with benefits kind of situation with someone I didn't know super well a few months back, and she got off to the fact that a younger guy was into an older woman. I was 24 at the time and she was 40 and I mean, so was I. I love MILFs and she was right up my alley. But one day she stops talking to me out of nowhere and I find out that it's because she went to jail. Previously, she had told me she used to have a minor drug problem which I was sympathetic towards because my mom did too, so I knew she was meeting with lawyers or parole people or whoever. And I was surprised she had relapsed because she seemed to be doing so well. Nope, turns out she had raped her 14-year-old son, and was just in my area awaiting trial or something. And she was so into our age difference because she was a pedophile and was using me as a kind of substitute. I was shocked and disgusted when I found out. But it made some of the things she said when we had sex make more sense. I had no idea and probably should have talked about it with someone, but I just felt like trying to forget it would work. And for the most part it has, but I'll still never tell anyone I know personally. What is proven to be a hoax but people still believe it to be true? That cracking your knuckles gives you arthritis. Touching a baby bird will make its parents reject it. Edited to add, any baby animal. When in doubt, reach out to your local wildlife rehabilitation network individual. The food pyramid, that you swallow 8 spiders a year in your sleep. Shaving making hair grow in thicker. What are some very comforting facts? Your pets will forgive you if you accidentally step on them. If you make it to the airport without dying, you've already passed the deadliest part of plane travel. The dog estimates the time of your return home by how much of your smell is left in the house from your morning routine. It's illegal in Switzerland to own just one guinea pig. You have to have at least 2 if you want to have any. Guinea pigs get lonely. Bees inform their friends about good flowers nearby by dancing. Next month we'll start to see some images from James Webb. A NASA presentation on the 12th. Our next step on learning about the early universe begins. If you could have sex with any fictional character, who would you pick? Mystique. The possibilities would be endless. Mrs. Incredible, my girlfriend, the one from Canada that you have probably never met, Chun-Li from Street Fighter, Podrick from Game of Thrones. Gotta find out for myself why the prostitutes gave Bacterians money. Padme Amidala. What's a modern-day scam that's become normalized and we don't realize it's a scam anymore? Not being able to cancel a subscription online. I can subscribe in 5 minutes but I need to call your service agents and I'm forced to be rude to them to cancel it because as long as my voice sounds friendly they try to resell the damn subscription. Service charge for buying cinema tickets online. I've got to pay you to buy something from you? Medical insurance not covering dental or vision. Like, it's all connected. Guys, if you have a badly abscessed tooth, you're likely going to need medical care, even if you have dental that covers the extraction or root canal or whatever. Resort fees at hotels. What is a minor confession you would like to make today? The only reason I took my vitamins today it's because they are in gummy form. I've been browsing Reddit for 3 hours while I'm supposed to be working. I could have finished my entire workload today in maybe 2 hours flat, but I dragged it out. I entered a Halloween coloring page contest as my little sister and won first place. I let my boss think I'm dumb so he gives me less work. What's your most shameful NSFW moment? In the 90s early 2000s we bought a pub and moved into it. It had a big screen downstairs and we lived above. But Sky Sports was so expensive for the business account we basically hooked the giant screen to our box upstairs so whenever the sport was on it would show on the screen downstairs. So we couldn't watch TV upstairs except what was being shown on the big screen when this was happening. Anyway, one Sunday evening around 10 p.m. after the sport, bearing in mind the sport finished at 6 p.m. I was freely browsing through channels because the giant screen has been wound up into the ceiling and my 14-year-old self came across some softcore porn. Curious, I started watching it. Suddenly there was a big buzz from the phone that connected to downstairs. I answer it. It's my mom with laughing in the background. What are you watching? I was like, I was just flicking through channels. Well, you've stayed on that one for a while, haven't you? I forgot a boo at the small TV in the bar area. It was still on and was showing the entire pub what my horny 14-year-old ass was watching. I was mortified. Luckily my mom never brought it up again and neither did any of the customers thankfully. 6 years ago I switched my wife's cat with a more well-behaved look-alike. She had an all-black cat that was extremely aggressive. It scratched everyone, hissed at everyone, and didn't use its litter box half the time. My wife insisted she could get it to behave better. One week she went out of town to visit her family and I was supposed to go to her apartment and feed it. The first night I went over, it scratched the shit out of my arm. I joked to the cat that it's not special and I'll replace it if it scratches again. The joke stuck with me until I had thought about it enough that it wasn't a joke. The next morning I went to the local animal shelter, found an identical cat who was already litter box trained and acclimated to people, but was a little skittish. Its old owner died of a heart attack and the animal shelter people said they think that's why it was skittish. But overall, it was a lot friendlier and better behaved, and the skittishness would help it resemble the original cat. So I adopted it, took it to my wife's apartment, settled it in, then drove her original cat to an animal shelter a town over. I was paranoid my wife would find out if I took it to a local one. It's been 6 years since then. We got married 4 years ago. We still have the swapped cat. It answers to the original cat's name. My wife knows nothing. She loves this cat and brags about how much better behaved it is. Every time I see it, I feel like a total piece of shit. Who is a celebrity you want to sleep with but would be embarrassed to tell people about? Julie Andrews. Something about those Mary Poppins petticoats and the parasol awakens my chim-chim cherie. Willem Dafoe. The embarrassing part is the fact that he's genuinely old enough to be my grandfather. I used to be embarrassed, but I'm over it now. I wanna fuck Sam Elliott. He's over twice my age and I'm a lesbian. I still want to fuck him. The older he gets, the more attractive I find him. I want to break his hips. Colin Mockery. Kermit the Frog. I will not be elaborating at this time. Gordon Ramsay. I'd only be embarrassed because of how critical he may be. I imagine him shouting insults about my technique and I'd probably wish I'd never done it at all. Wife tied me up during sex and searched my phone. Man, I honestly still can't really grasp what happened. We were doing a roleplay for sex and she decided to tie me up to a chair. I was obviously loving everything she was doing till she got up and walked away from me. I was also blindfolded. I started asking where the heck she went and whether she was okay cause all I could hear was the sound of stuff being moved around. She told me she just remembered to take her medication and that she'd be back with me in a second. I didn't buy it cause she only takes her meds in the morning. I tried freeing my hands. It wasn't hard given how bad she is at making knots. I freed my hands and quickly removed the blindfold and caught her with my phone in her hand. I asked what she was doing with my phone and she got quiet. I snatched the phone to take a look. Turns out she was snooping through it. She has been wanting to do it for a while after suspecting something off with my behavior and thought the only way she could take a look was by having me tied up and eyes blindfolded. We had the biggest fight because of it and she began crying saying I ruined the night and judged her for the gut feeling she had and couldn't control. I don't know, man. I just don't feel like I could trust her after this. Maybe I'll get over it, but this is just fucked up. Today I fricked up by swiping on my girlfriend's phone. So this happened a few days ago and I'm still not sure I'm 100% ready to tell the story, but here goes. I've been with my girlfriend for about a year and I already know she is the love of my life. She's perfect for me. We're perfect for each other. We're getting ready to move in with each other and I want nothing more than to start a family with her and spend the rest of my life with her. We went on a short vacation last week and when we returned she gave me her phone to look at some photos from the trip. She went to the bathroom while I had her phone, and as I was scrolling through the pictures it kind of jumped to a period that was about a year and a half ago. If you have an iPhone you know what I'm talking about. You scroll a little bit too fast and all of a sudden you're back at the start of the photo album. It's annoying as hell, but some photos caught my eye. Some photos that I really shouldn't be seeing, of her and a previous boyfriend. There she is, the love of my life, trying to get her mouth around the biggest dick I've ever seen in my life. I've watched porn, a lot. I've never seen a dick like this. I'm talking bigger than 2 Coke cans stacked on top of each other, longer and thicker. As far as I could tell she was unable to get her teeth around it. I could see another thumbnail of her comparing the size of his dick to her forearm with a look of wonder and glee on her face. I closed the pictures and I've acted like nothing has happened, but I cannot get these images out of my mind. I've never been self-conscious about my dick size. In fact, if you believe the stats, I'm significantly above average, but this has destroyed my self-esteem. We haven't had sex since. I can't concentrate on my work. I just wish I had never seen those damn pictures. Today I fricked up by obliterating my wife's fish. Happened last night. Wife's 8-year-old very large goldfish was passing away. Had dropsy, was suffering, and was on the verge of death. Wife and I looked into the symptoms and there was practically no hope of him making a recovery, so she asked me to euthanize him. Looking into methods, it seemed pretty agreed upon that the most effective and quick way to euthanize a fish was blunt force trauma. Now, when I was a kid my family were huge anglers, and I was designated as the fish killer when it was time to cook them. Back then, I was told to slam them on the ground as hard as I could. Well, my 8-year-old body wasn't strong enough to kill them instantaneously, so I had to do it multiple times. Honestly, it kind of fucked me up a little. Flash forward to last night. I didn't want that happening again and I wanted it to be painless. I asked my wife to leave the room because she was very upset and I chose to do the deed by putting the fish in a plastic grocery bag and slamming it on the counter as hard as I possibly could. The poor fish was absolutely obliterated. The force ripped open the bag and sprayed bits of what used to be a goldfish in every direction. Told my wife to stay upstairs and she started getting suspicious, so she comes down after 5 minutes and it's just everywhere still. On the counter, on the stove, on the fridge, on the freaking Christmas tree we still have up. I was still finding pieces of it this morning. Wife was aghast and traumatized, cried until she went to bed. What will die with millennials? Memory of life without internet, watching whatever was on. Everything is always on now. You don't stumble into an interesting show because it's the only thing mildly interesting on TV. Going to Blockbuster and trying to find some film to watch, one new and one old combo, remembering someone's phone number, dubbing cassettes and burning your own mix on CD, listening to the radio all day waiting for your favorite song, the knowledge of life before instant connection and internet fast globalization, awkwardly trying not to look at each other in a waiting room. What's your most shameful NSFW moment? Part 3. When I was with my ex, we did some long distance for a while. While I am not about sending nudes, after not seeing each other for a long time you kinda get an urge to see the other person naked. So, nudes were exchanged. She was mostly interested in close-ups of my erect penis, so I sent those. Upon returning home I discovered that she had set a picture of my erect penis as my profile picture in her phone, meaning that if I'd call her, my penis would be presented on the screen in all its glory. I told her this was a very stupid idea. What if I'd call and her phone was laying around somewhere? She said she never had her phone laying around so no one would see. I didn't think much of it. Few weeks later we were having dinner with her parents and she was talking about getting a new phone. Her father, with a straight face and in between 2 bites of his food, remarked, "Gee, if you get this new phone, does that mean you'll install a different picture for when he calls you?" I died 1,000 deaths. What's your most shameful NSFW moment? Part 4. My HS girlfriend, many decades ago, giving me an enthusiastic blowjob. Right at the very moment when I came her mother came home. It startled my GF to the point she accidentally inhaled my cum, and jumped up, headbutting me in the nose. Literally seconds after her mom burst into her room to see her daughter buck nude, on all fours, coughing out jizz like a cat with a hairball, and me, buck nude, with a rock-hard erection and covered in blood. How did you figure out your significant other cheated on you? Part 1. Throwaway account to protect the innocent. Social services called me to discuss my children's safety, because my wife was going out with a registered pedophile. Needless to say, we're no longer married. My uncle got home from work early to find his wife in bed with some other guy. Uncle went to the kitchen and made 3 cups of tea, put them on a tray, walked into the room and sat on the end of the bed. The wife and the guy froze, eyes like dinner plates, while uncle offered them a cup of tea. He stayed calm as fuck, which freaked the guy out. He jumped up, gathered his clothes and legged it out of the house. Uncle calling after him, "Hey, where you going, mate? I made tea." Guy didn't respond, just kept running. Unc told his wife she has exactly 7 minutes to vacate the house. Uncle Jim is fucking boss.